Meeting to order. Good evening. I'd like to call the special called Board of Commission meeting to order. Thank you for your attention and your patience. We now have a quorum. We'll go ahead and open the special called meeting, and the agenda item is discuss the 2014-2015 physical budget for the Fairview, Tennessee. Thank you. Welcome. I would like to maybe open the floor with a few questions, if I may. Special called opportunity is to discuss some things that may be still things that I have questions about or others might have, so I do appreciate your attention. If we look at revenues, and I open the floor to committee or to Tom or to Mr. Hall, anyone who'd like to answer, there was a few questions that either altered from the last draft proposal, and I wanted to just see exactly where those might have been validated or justified in revenue items. The first would be on line 32,640, rezoning and subdividing and other fees. Now, even though the 150% increase may be just a small number, my question there was that just opportunity that we saw? Was there specific things that we had? Is that number of there's 4 developments, it'll be $1,000, so there's $4,000? Could anyone answer me of where that projection increase came from?
That projection in increasing revenue was really based on our activity we had this fiscal year. I feel like it's conservative, that's what we're trying to do. But, no, it's not really a specific things that we know will happen, because we never know how much will happen, but we feel like we would have that much activity based on what we've done this fiscal year.
Okay. I guess I would follow that up with the decrease of 18% in building permits. So if there is a positive thought of we are moving in a more development area, that's a decrease of 18%. So I was with you in your first thought of more development coming on to the Planning Commission and being requested for rezoning and subdividing, but when it went down in the building permits, standardly that's the next step of increase of money. Why would we feel one's going up but one's going down and they're tied together?
I think if I'm not mistaken, it was really sort of based on the performance of this fiscal year. I think we estimated more revenue there than what we had, but still being conservative, I feel like we will have more revenue than that, but I didn't really want to put out something that, it's not really something you necessarily depend on. But there is something of a lag, though, with development, rezoning and development approvals. Still, there's a time period there before we actually get to the permitting time. So there is it's a little, if we have a lot of development activity, we may not start with permits until halfway through the fiscal year. So it's sort of really, it's a little bit of a lag time there between when we are actually getting, because we're getting a lot of interest in expanding subdivisions, new subdivisions. And then we're picking up, I think, with some commercial rezoning too. But the building permits have been steady, and they've actually picked up some, Sharon, haven't they, in the last week, 2 weeks? So we may be very low there.
And I'm just trying to track if one went up.
Yeah, I understand.
The permits usually follow, and it would be of
They
a
do.
thought process that it would go up also, but it went down. So I was just trying to get clarification. Thank you.
Mayor, if I could add
Sure.
a piece of information for you. The percent change is the percent change in the budget amount. It is not the percent change versus what was actually received. If you look at the first one you called rezoning, subdividing, we budgeted last year that we would get $6,000 from that. We've actually received twice that much, which is $12,000. So the $15,000 is an increase, but it's not a 150% increase. It's a 150% increase over $6,000, which is the budget amount. But it is not a 150% increase. It is actually just a 25% increase. And if you go to the one you were just talking about, building permits, you can see that we're about 30,500 actually received, and the 35%, the 35,000 that Mr. Umber is projecting is another increase of about the same amount of money. So the way the spreadsheet is designed is a bit misleading, and in that it's comparing proposed budget for this year against what we have already approved for budget for last year, not necessarily actual, which is sometimes a bit confusing to me. I don't know if it is to you, but it is to me.
Thank you. Just the process was one thing forward and one thing back. I just needed clarification. Thank you. On line 33,520, could you share with me, Tom, why the state income tax increase there? Did you have information from the state? How did you derive at that?
Yes, we're getting some new numbers from MTS.
So MTAS shared numbers from the state of Tennessee?
Yes.
And is that broken down to our area and our community, or is it just general across
Because
the state?
the state budget went down. So I'm curious who gave you that and what number did they give you? Do you have that you can share with me?
Yes. It's on that. I gave a copy to the auditor. Now,
If you can just make notes of things that maybe would be helpful in clarifying and validating, because ultimately, I believe all of our intent is the same, that we do not look to additional revenue that may not be resolved. And then on the, just for clarification, on the building permits of 32,610, it has the 35,000. And then on 33,870, it has that we would have a $80,000, a 60% change, or $80,000 in building permit fees. Could you tell me where that number was validated, or how that was?
that is a number that goes into, that's the facilities tax that's going to be transferred in to pay our building note. That's not necessarily a revenue number, that's just a number that goes in there, and when I get ready to move money, it comes out of that.
So building permit fees, is that the correct line there?
That's what was there previously, and that's where I would, I can double check that, but I believe that's the way it's been set up in the past.
I would question why the word is there, permit. And if it has been just carried over year after year, I would definitely question, what does that mean as a revenue of building permit fees of $80,000? Because the line item of 32,610 is the building permit fees. I just need some clarity.
Right, if you, the general fund stops at what's bold,
Mm-hmm.
and then facilities fund is 300, drug fund is 619. That 81,000 is gonna come from this 300 fund over into the general fund.
And what deposits into the facility fund? I still feel like there would be a question of that verbiage. Now, if it says building,
They are building permit fees, but there's no way, it's in our books, it's set up, like when I transferred in that 51,000 this past month, it was set up building permit fees. I don't like it, and then it transferred into the general fund. 51,000, and that, it kind of offset some of the cost of our building, which is, we can't pay for out of the facilities fund.
right. When the note was formed on City Hall, it was formed with an earmark revenue of facilities tax. So that's that's the avenue you're speaking of.
Yes.
So facilities tax, can you share with me where that revenue comes from,
That's come from building permits.
which is projected to be 35,000 this year?
Right. This, I can see the confusion, but this right here is the way it's set up in our books, and it's not necessarily going to, this is not an estimate of general fund revenue. This is to show where the $81,000 is coming from that's going into the general fund.
Entire amount goes to facilities.
I have to explain.
Where's the other money coming from? If it's building permit fees is paying the note on City Hall, and we have an estimated revenue of 35,000 according to the codes director,
35,000.
where's the other money coming from?
35,000 goes into the facilities fund along with the fund balance, and out of that 35,000 plus fund balance, we'll take 81,000 of that and apply towards,
So it carries over? Like the money carries over each year?
depending on your building permits, it depends, like you're in a high development period, you might get a substantial amount of income. This last year, it was not a lot of activity.
Shows here in the fund balance that estimated increase for 2013-14 was $20,893.
Yes. That's what I anticipate in building permit fees.
That's 13-14. Do you have a year-to-date on building permits? That would help us, I think.
This, not on my person.
Yes, sir.
Every building permit that comes through has a certain amount of that building permit fees. It goes into facilities tax. Number said a while ago, we have a lot of lag time there. Take, for instance, Alpha Technologies that's going to be built in the industrial park. Their overall fees are $21,000. We haven't received that yet to be projected into. But that's what happens because of the lag time. You're not able to put it in your budget just yet until you actually receive it.
So with that being said, in the projection of estimated increases for 2014, 2015 is $75,000. If a portion of the $35,000 comes from the building permits, and we're estimating that in 14, 15, we'll have 75,000, where does the other money come from? What else is put in that account?
It strictly comes from that, from the building permit fees. It goes into the facilities. It's kind of like you build a savings account for the facilities tax. And then when you pay your note on your building, then that's deducted out of your facilities fund.
So we're estimating we will gain 35,000 in building permits, but only a portion of that, by what you said, goes into the facility tax. If we're saying it'll be 75,000, where's that money coming from? If only a portion of 35 comes, then that's 35 or less. And it says in estimated increase for 2014-15, there'll be $75,000 in that facility tax fund. If only a portion of 35,000, then obviously the 75 cannot be correct, or there's other monies coming into that account from somewhere. I'm just
Probably
asking
that-
where.
Probably an accumulation of monies that's accumulated over the years that's still in the account. So each permit that comes in, their portion goes into the facilities fund. Am I right, Sharon?
A portion of the 35,000 that Mr. Humner said we'll receive.
A portion of each building permit.
Okay, which is estimated a revenue of 35,000.
And each house that's built, a portion of that building permit fee goes into the facilities fund.
Okay, so it's 35 or less.
I would say it's going to be more this year. I didn't have anything to do with that projection, but I think it's going to be more.
Tom or Ms. Brooks or Alan, is there anyone that can help me clarify just the math? I'm trying to get to where the math makes sense.
Yeah, I follow what you're saying, Mayor. It would seem that what is on this, back in here in the ordinance says 75, and then what says in this line item says 35. So they should be the same, one way or the other. In terms of it's, the 81,000 is what Tom said, it's not revenue, it's transfer in from that facilities fund. But I follow what you're saying, the 35,000 and the 75,000 should be the same.
Something is just
Or
not,
something else goes into the facilities tax
Right.
fund. And
that's why I asked, what deposits are made into that account other than a portion of the building permits as confirmed by Mr. Humner and Mr. Hall?
but
Is there anything?
I have in my mind, till we get something, I'm just drawing a blank as to where it comes from. But other than our building permits, the entire portion that we keep goes into facilities tax. There, we have some state fees and stuff we have to pay out of the building permits that we issue.
So a portion goes or all goes, y'all?
Well,
or y'all
everything
saying-
that would be ours goes, it doesn't split between our general revenue and our facilities, it all goes into facilities. But if I pay like $25 for my swimming pool, there is something that it's siphoned off of that. So if the $22 that the city gets, all of that would go into facilities tax. But I get what you're talking about, I just don't know where the revenue comes from for facilities tax. That's what we need to know.
Well, but Sharon just confirmed what Mr. Hall just said, that it was a portion.
Yes, when I do a building permit, you have a building permit, then you have mechanical, plumbing, and then you have facilities tax. That goes straight to 300. I quoted 300.
Yes.
So if a building permit was $100, there is a portion of that $100 that goes to facilities tax. It's a portion of it.
If it's a new single, I think.
I wished I had I saw the actual figures on Alpha Technologies, what was the building permit that goes in the facilities fund, but then there's an electrical fee that's charged over and above that. A plumbing charge is over and above that. Footing charge is over and above that. So it's a whole list of
I understand. I pay it.
things. But the entire building permit fee itself goes into the facilities fund.
Okay? Which is still below the 35,000 projected. Because if it's not 100%,
Right.
it's below the projected 35,000, right? Does everybody agree on that? So my question being is, where is other money coming that would equate to the 75? And if the answer is that is not correct, then we'll move on. But if the answer is that is correct, I would like to see where the other deposits come from for that number to be valid on our budget.
Robert, did we discuss how many subdivisions are going in this year?
Yeah, we talked about it. I'm sure we did.
How scientific that number was, but I knew we had possibly 4 subdivisions being started. I believe I looked at the 132,000 that was brought in 2013.
What line item, please?
Go into the ordinance 840 on line on the second page, facilities fund and revenue. Under 2013, actual 132,601. Estimated this year was 20,817. I believe that 75,000 is an estimate. That can be changed. So, I mean, like we said, it's awful hard to estimate how many building permits we're going to.
Because it is revenue earmarked for the payment of City Hall note, I would say it becomes extreme priority. Because we got to pay our bills.
I agree, but it's also almost impossible to estimate that number, in my opinion.
Well, and I guess the real question is, the one page doesn't match the other, so if it's a mistake, and they both needed to be the same, then that, okay, we can understand.
Right.
But the question is, there is such a variance, and where's the difference coming from? And so, as I sit here and listen to the conversation, it's one thing if it is a revenue coming in and it's a revenue coming in, well, just, if you can find out where it's coming from, then that's fine. But because there was a discrepancy and it's a large amount, we need to kind of make sure we know where the money's coming from.
Agreed. Is there a way that you can, because I believe on the expenditures, Tom, on the expenditures, you've got projected 2013-14, and we've got, 12 days. How many days left to the 30th? 10 days?
11 days.
11 days, okay. Is there a way that we can have a year-to-date? Because your year-to-date,
It's pretty close. I've got
Okay.
up to 12 right here.
okay, great.
Expenses.
Because year-to-date to projected in 11 day is not, shouldn't be? But your projected could have a swing of $100,000 in there. I know it's not, but if you have year-to-date, that'd be most helpful.
Our expenses as of June 12, $5,273,738.41.
And revenue year-to-date, could you share that, please?
$1,042,743.39, with approximately 300,000 transfer.
So 4,342,000 plus 300,000 transfers in, which are your
Right, and
available funds.
Right, and there's been no June, none of our big money is hit as far as this statement, as far as stationary tax or county tax will be at the very tail end of June. We haven't, in this statement, we haven't received hardly any of our revenues.
And what are you estimating there?
I'd say at least right around 5 and 300,000.
So that would be 4,642,000 if you estimate another 300,000. Is that correct? You estimated another 300,000 and you have year-to-date 4342. Do you have a calculator handy to do the difference of what we are potentially in the red at the end of June? You had 52737, 5273, 73738 as your expenses, and estimated 4,642,743. $630,000 in the red, June 30th. And how much do we have in the bank? It's called available funds, whether they are sub-funds or not. What is the total in your bank statements that the city of Fairview has in the bank?
Estimated right around $900,000. All cash. And sales you got the,
Are you including all available funds, excluding the drug fund, which we call buckets, which are sub-funds? Which is 630,000. No, I'm sorry, 900,000 estimate. Is that including the 99,000, the negative 99,000 in unassigned?
yes.
So we don't need to minus that also. And the math shows that after this budget is balanced, the city of Fairview has how much money in the bank? $900 minus 630. Or am I missing a number somewhere?
700. 145. $930,053.
Wait, we had 900,000 minus 630.
On all cash. What number we looking for?
If we are 630,000 at the end of this budget, and we have 900,000 to pay that 630,
Well, you gotta, some things we're not taking into consideration, there was, before I got here, there was $458,000 transferred in reserves.
due to a budget that did not balance.
And that you would take that number off of the 930 to start with.
So what would our total be of cash on hand? Okay, that's what I'm looking for. If anyone can share, I would definitely appreciate it. In February, you gave us this balance, fund balance. And it had $1.4 million in it.
That was our beginning fund balance this year.
And what is our beginning fund balance, July 1st, 2014?
Estimate, we want to have a guaranteed.
Understand?
Is what I just told you, $964,053. That is general fund monies, facilities tax monies, and drug fund monies.
We cannot spend the drug fund, so please minus that in everyday accounts.
Well, are you just looking, you're actually just wanting the unrestricted, what's available to?
No, it
We
shows
know what,
99,000 in the red is in the unrestricted, so that's got to be paid.
but that's what you're looking for, right?
No, I'm looking at balance, which is this sheet. It says 2014, which you gave me the new sheet. It was a typo. So now we have the 2014 corrected that shows, as of July 1st, 2014, the fund balance in the thing you printed us is $84,000. I'm sorry. It was minus 99,000. I went into the facilities, you're correct.
That is my estimate for July 1st.
Okay, I had a few other questions, but it's 1 minute to the beer board that has been called, and I do want to respect the other meetings that are called, and
We can defer it till after. If you have more questions. You could defer it to after the meeting or after the beer board.
we do,
Then
we have people that are here for that, because we can go into the meeting at 7 and continue.
Any other agenda item on our meeting, so
Yes, sir.
piggyback.
Okay, any other comments from the commission or questions?
No, I'll
Motion.
save it for the next one.
Motion for the special meeting adjourned?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you.